Welcome to Fieldcraft Chronicles, where the past teaches us to survive the present. Today we journey not to the muddy trenches of the Great War, but 1,000 years earlier, to the frozen coasts and ice-bound forests where the Vikings mastered the art of winter survival. These Norse warriors and explorers didn't merely endure the brutal Scandinavian winters. They thrived in them, building an empire that stretched from North America to the Byzantine Empire. Their methods weren't just about staying alive. They were about maintaining strength, mobility, and fighting readiness in conditions that would break lesser peoples. The architecture of warmth. The Viking longhouse wasn't simply shelter. It was a masterpiece of thermal engineering wrapped in timber and turf. Picture walking into one of these structures on a February night when the wind screams across the fjords. The entrance passage, deliberately offset from the main hall, created an airlock that prevented precious heat from escaping. Inside, the central hearth burned continuously, its smoke rising through a roof vent that could be adjusted with external poles to manage draft without losing warmth. But here's the genius. Vikings built their sleeping platforms along the walls, elevated above the cold floor where dense air settled. They understood thermal stratification, centuries before science gave it a name. The walls themselves were double-layered, an inner wooden framework packed with layers of turf, moss, and sometimes seaweed, creating insulation that could maintain interior temperatures 30 degrees warmer than the killing cold outside. The layered defense against cold. Viking clothing was a sophisticated system that modern outdoor enthusiasts would recognize immediately. Against their skin, they wore linen undergarments that wickered moisture away from the body, the same principle as today's synthetic base layers. Over this came wool tunics and trousers, often made from the coarse outer wool of their sheep, which retained warmth even when wet. The outer layer was where Viking ingenuity truly shone. Cloaks made from tightly woven wool, sometimes treated with lanolin to make them water-resistant, and in extreme cold fur-lined garments from bear, wolf, or seal. Their footwear combined leather boots stuffed with dried grass or wool for insulation, which could be replaced throughout the day as it compressed and lost effectiveness. They understood that cold kills from the extremities inward, so mittens lined with rabbit fur kept hands functional, and woolen caps, sometimes reinforced with leather, protected the head where so much body heat escapes. Provisions for the endless night. Surviving winter meant planning during summer's abundance. Vikings developed preservation techniques that kept food edible through months of darkness. They smoked fish and meat in dedicated smokehouses, the process both preserving protein and adding calories through the wood resins that permeated the flesh. Dried stockfish, cod split and hung on wooden racks to freeze dry in the Arctic air, became so hard it could last for years, requiring soaking and pounding before cooking. They fermented cabbage and other vegetables, creating nutritionally dense foods that prevented scurvy during the vitamin-scarce winter months. Their caloric intake during winter was deliberately high, heavy on fats from butter, cheese, and rendered animal fat that fueled the metabolic furnace needed to maintain body heat. Firecraft in the frozen world. Making fire in sub-zero conditions separates the living from the dead, and Vikings approached this with ritualistic precision. They carried fire-starting kits in waterproof pouches made from animal bladders, flint, iron striker, and charcloth made from linen burned in controlled conditions. But their true innovation was fungus amadou, harvested from birch trees, processed and dried to catch the smallest spark. They knew which woods burned hottest and longest. Birch bark peeled in sheets ignited quickly even when damp, while dense woods like oak provided sustained heat through the night. Vikings maintained banked fires, covering coals with ash to preserve them overnight, understanding that starting a new fire cost precious calories and resources. This knowledge wasn't casual. It was survival wisdom passed from parent to child, practiced until it became instinct. The Vikings didn't conquer the North through superior weaponry alone. They conquered it through superior knowledge. Every technique, every garment, every preserved fish represented generations of accumulated wisdom about surviving in one of Earth's harshest environments. Today, as we rediscover self-reliance and bushcraft, these ancient methods remind us that technology may change, but the principles of survival remain eternal. The Viking way teaches us that winter isn't an enemy to defeat, but a reality to understand and adapt to, transforming hardship into merely another season of life. If this journey through history has sparked something in you, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles and hit that notification bell. Share this with anyone who understands that the old ways weren't primitive. They were proven. Until next time, stay prepared, stay curious, and remember, survival is knowledge, and knowledge is power.